The first thing she said to me that day wasn't hello or I'm sorry for your loss. It was, you don't belong here. Dad disowned you, remember? Don't make a scene. Her voice was sharp enough to slice through the humid air of the chapel. Her lipstick was perfect, her black dress designer, mourning as performance art. I didn't answer, because you don't argue with someone who's about to choke on their own arrogance. You just wait. Growing up, Claire was the golden child. I was tolerated, at best. She had perfect grades, perfect manners, perfect friends. I had dirt under my nails, questions Dad didn't like, and a knack for telling the truth even when it burned. The older we got, the wider the gap grew. She married rich. I started my own small business. She lived in the city. I stayed close to home. But the real fracture came 3 years ago. Dad fell ill. His mind stayed sharp, but his body, frail. He asked us to visit. I went every weekend, bringing groceries, paying his bills when he forgot to. Claire? She came once every few months, always in a hurry, always with that "I'm busy with real life" air. Then one Sunday, I walked in and found a lawyer at the kitchen table. Claire sat beside him, smiling like she'd just won something. Dad looked conflicted. "Just some estate planning," she said, too casually. I knew then. She started the campaign, whispering in Dad's ear, painting me as unreliable. You know she had that failed investment, that boyfriend who used you for money? Little digs, each one meant to tilt the balance. And maybe it worked for a while, because one day Dad called me and said, "I think you should focus on your own life, not mine." It wasn't the words, it was the tone, detached, cold. Claire's tone. When Dad passed, I didn't expect an invitation to the funeral, but it came. Out of obligation, I thought. I showed up alone. I stood in the back. I let her have the spotlight, the grieving, perfect daughter. Until she came over and called me a disgrace. I still didn't react, because I had already made my move. See, after that kitchen table ambush years ago, I didn't storm out, I didn't cry, I just listened. And then I went home, opened my laptop, and called a lawyer of my own. Dad had told me things over the years, personal things, about the business, about the money, about debts Claire didn't know existed, and about something else, a private account for emergencies in my name. I never touched it. Not once. When he was sick, I started keeping records. Every bill I paid for him, every appointment I took him to, every time Claire was too busy. I sent Dad a letter once, handwritten. No accusations, just the truth. About what I'd done for him, about how I'd never taken a penny from that account, about how Claire had. Twice. He called me the next day. He didn't say she did it, he didn't apologize, but I heard it in his voice. He knew. The will reading was at his lawyer's office, 2 days after the funeral. The room was small, the air thick. Claire sat in the center, flanked by her husband, her nails clicking against the armrest. I sat at the far end, hands folded. The lawyer started reading. Formalities first. Assets, debts, the usual. Claire leaned back, smug. Then the lawyer's voice shifted. "To my daughter Claire, I leave the watch my father gave me and the painting above my desk. May they remind you of what can't be bought." Her smile flickered. "To my daughter Anna, the only one who never lied to me, I leave the remainder of my estate, my shares in the company, and the contents of my private account." Silence. Then a strangled "What?" from Claire. The lawyer continued unbothered. "Anna, you'll also find enclosed my written acknowledgement of your care during my illness and my instructions for the trust you will manage. I know you'll honor them." I didn't look at her. She tried to argue, claimed Dad was manipulated, threatened court. But the will was airtight, dated after my letter, signed in front of witnesses she didn't know existed. She left that room shaking, not from grief, from rage. It wasn't about the money, it was about the truth. About letting her taste what she'd been serving me my whole life. Irrelevance. And the best part? I didn't have to raise my voice. I didn't have to humiliate her in public. Dad did it for me, in ink. On the drive home, I rolled the window down. The cold air felt clean. Claire could call me a disgrace for the rest of her life if she wanted, but now, every time she said it, she'd taste the bitterness of knowing Dad's final word was mine. Some people fight battles in the open. I prefer the kind you win in silence.